What's up, ACL Nation? This week is all about our female ACL pros. We're going to highlight all 24 of our females going into this upcoming season, as well as welcome a women's doubles world champion Cheyenne Renner to the show. This is the ACL Throwdown. Cheyenne Renner, like I said, is going to be on the show this week. Can't wait for my conversation with Cheyenne. Like I said, this week is all about the women. I really wanted to take an episode and break down some of our top female ACL pros. As all of you know, getting more exposure for women on television and equal payouts to our pro division has really been an initiative for the ACL Pro division for a number of years now. And so really this upcoming season is going to be a great opportunity to showcase our women. We're going to have women's doubles at each national like we did last season. You'll see teams of women competing with one another on ESPN3. We'll show all of that coverage at each of our nationals. And then what I'm really excited about is all of our shootout events will have women's singles events. And then each of those winners of all those different women's singles events will compete for the Woman of the Year competition at that Pro Shootout Championship at the end of the season. So some great opportunity not only to see women's doubles, but also women's singles action. It's going to be an incredible year in our pro division. So let's look. We'll briefly go through. There's so much I could say about many of these women, but I want to hit all 24. We have 24 ACL Pro women this year, the most we've ever had, which is incredible, and it really gets me excited. So starting at the top, we'll go alphabetically. We got Leah Adcock now returning for her third year. We saw her at ACL Charity Day just about a year and a half ago. She's a great leader in the women's division, and I'm excited to have her back. She'll be competing again this season. Really, it's going to be about consistency for Leslie. She has ups, she has downs, but if she doesn't have more ups and downs, maybe she can get her first ever broadcast appearance. Next up, Cameron Belvin doesn't need much of an introduction. 2019 ACL Women's Singles World Champion. She's also come in 5th place in advanced singles at these past ACL World Championships. And she's won advanced singles at a national in 2020 in advanced singles in Florida. So she's an incredible player. If you let her get hot on her airmail, she's going to be tough to beat. Cameron Belvin competing alongside Allison Hein, who we'll talk about in a second. I love that women's doubles team as well as an ACL Pro team. So watch out for these two, especially Cameron. She's going to be tough to beat this season. Sarah Cassidy, our women's singles and the other half of our women's doubles world champion. She has really come out of the woodwork, a really unknown player until those world championships outside of the Southeast Conference. And now it's going to be the test for her this year is, can she sustain that success and can she come down off of that high and stay consistent? Because it is one thing to win a championship, and by all means, take nothing away from Sarah Cassidy. It's another to have sustained success playing against the best talent in the world. So that's my key to focus on this year for Sarah Cassidy, maintaining consistency and success when you've already been there. Moving on down, Acl Chismark. Acl Chismark going to be competing alongside Laurie Duel. And I love Acl, wife of Rob Chismark, so she knows how to handle some excitement, that's for sure. Acl, again, going to be similar to Leah Adcock, has her ups and downs, but I'm really just waiting for a breakout performance for her. She'll be competing alongside Laurie Duel this season, so competing alongside her, there's a decent chance that these two make a run, surprise some people, and maybe get their first appearance as a team on an ESPN3 broadcast. Moving down, Courtney Coy. This is an interesting one. The reason I really find Courtney Coy interesting is because I think all last season she struggled with all cornhole bags all year long. She didn't really make that very publicly known, but I really think that if she found a bag that suited her, and I know she had an old affinity for Reynolds bags, it was really going to make a difference. Well, she's back throwing Reynolds bags, what she's used to. She's going to be pairing up with Christine Pappy, another powerhouse women's division team, as well as a pro team. So you know that they're going to be throwing bags that Courtney Coy likes. And let's see if Courtney can get back into that 2018 form. She was unbelievable that season, taking down some big names, including Christine Pappy that year. And I'm really interested to see if she can get back on top of it, because if she can, she is a superstar. Harley Culpepper, a veteran in our pro division, one of our OGs, I like to say. And she's just fun to watch. She's exciting. She's playing with her dad, Ronnie Culpepper, again in the pro division. And Harley, I really just want her airmails to be consistent. I mean, she has shown time and time again that she does have a fantastic airmail when she is in it. And I just think she can stay in it, stay focused, and stay dedicated to competing and practicing, which I know is tough for those teenagers. I don't know how her and Matt Morton find the time to, while still being social, to get out there and practice. But if they can, I really think Harley can have a strong year. Maya Cup, our ACL Woman of the Year, and similar to Sarah Cassidy, now that she's had that breakout performance, it's really, can you sustain it? Can you do it again and again and again? And I really think what Maya is really good at is consistently putting bag and bag and bag in the hole. What I really am looking for her is when players start putting her in a position to where she has to airmail consistently, I want to make sure that not only can she hit that airmail, but then does that affect her rhythm? Does that make her start going left or right on her slide shot? So that's something to key on for Maya Cup this season. Laurie Duel, a great performance at the 2020 ACL World Championships, especially playing with Jackie Saison in women's doubles. She's one of the most methodical players out there, and I think that plays to her advantage. One thing that I loved about Laurie Duel, started the ACL Pro Qualifier 0-3 and finished 5-3. That really tells you she's resilient and she's going to continue to fight through adversity even when she's down. So I really look for Laurie Duel to have a strong season, and I look for a lot of people to underestimate Laurie Duel. So watch out for her. She'll use those slick bags, and I think she's going to have a great year. Brittany Emge, the energy, I want to see it back and better than ever. I think she had a little bit of a down game in that Woman of the Year competition first game that kind of got her eliminated. But she is, the energy I miss. I want to see her back on the board. She's a great time to watch, and she puts on a heck of a show when she's on the boards. I really love to watch her airmail when she gets consistent with it. So watch out for Brittany Emge, and let's get our party hats on if she makes a broadcast. From there, Sam Finley, another incredible player, a co-ed doubles world champion alongside Derek King. A second place finish in women's doubles alongside Allison Peters. She will be competing with Allison Peters in both the women's division and the pro division this season. And really, she's a veteran. You know what you're going to get. You're going to get consistent play time and time again. She's going to make broadcasts throughout the season. And really, my goal for her and what I want to see for her, I want to see if she can be one of the first females to break into a broadcast from a pro division perspective, not just a women's division, but my expectations for Sam Finley after what I saw her do, and especially in that finals match in that co-ed championship, she was lights out. So we'll see if she can put together a strong performance in a singles environment, maybe at one of those shootouts in those 10-round limited games. Moving on, Allison Hein. Allison Hein slowly becoming a veteran of the game, and she'll, like I said, be pairing up with Cameron Belvin. I think that's a dream team as far as a women's doubles team goes. Watch out for them. And for Allison, I really saw her have a big adjustment when she changed her throw. She changed her eye angle and where she was looking and where she was paying attention to as she was throwing. So that change in throw, I really saw a difference at those world championships. So for her, I'm looking to see when she gets on a board in women's singles and women's doubles, is she consistent with her slide shots? I think that's going to be important for her. Moving on down, Kaylee Hunter. She is a slinger, okay? She's going to throw a great flat bag, a hard bag, and be great on the pushes. Really, what I'm looking for, being such a young player, first time in the pro division, she's dating Jamie Graham, so her boyfriend is Jamie Graham, #1 player in the world, so she's got that kind of bubble looming over her. But at the same time, I'm just looking to see, is she ready? She's a young player. See if she can handle that pressure and handle it when the stakes get really high, and she's got an opportunity to get her first ever appearance. So for her, 100%, I'm looking for composure. Moving on, I got Yeti Irwan. She's all the way from Colorado, our lone female Western Conference ACL pro, and Yeti had a breakout performance in that Woman of the Year competition, and she was relentless. Took down Allison Hein. I remember talking to Allison afterwards. She said she just wouldn't miss. What I really want to see from Yeti is I want to see her do that, what she did against Allison Hein, on a consistent basis. She has yet to have a complete tournament, and I want to see her put together a complete tournament, and I want to get her on that main stage. Jessica Jones out of Kansas City, she's another slinger. She's got a great flat bag, a hard bag, great with pushes, and for her, I'm similar to Kaylee Hunter. I want to see composure. I know Jessica Jones has all of the assets and all of the tools to become a very successful player, but what I saw from her in women's doubles, at times giving up a 10-point round, struggled in a round surrounding that 10-point round. She was just too inconsistent for me to be 100% all in. But here's the good news. She has the tools to be a top 5 women's player in the country. It's now about honing in on that composure and staying consistent. Leah Kitsmiller, one of my favorite ACL women to watch. She's just fun. She's just an upbeat personality. She's very positive. She plays alongside her husband, Mike Kitsmiller. They had a really strong run in Galveston, just a couple points away from making a broadcast as a husband and wife team. I'm hoping I can see some more of that at some of those shootout events as well. But really from her, it's about consistency, just like a lot of these females. I mean, she's got a great airmail. She's smart when she plays. And she was one win away from making an ESPN3 appearance in women's doubles as well on that main stage at the World Championship. So for her, continuing to hone her craft and practice, and we're going to see her soon enough. Carrie Mittermiller, another player I really think mental side of the game is going to be key for Carrie. I think I've said that 4 or 5 times now, and if she can find one tournament where she can completely hone in, then she's going to be deadly to compete against. Now, I do know she was trying to balance her alcohol intake as she was playing, and recently she said she's going to try and not drink at all at tournaments, which is interesting, and I know that adds a little bit of dimension that many people are not used to talking about, but we'll see if that adds a different element to her to keep her a little bit more focused and for one to add possibly a little bit more pressure that maybe she needs, because she performed well under pressure in the times that I've seen her, so maybe it helps. Melissa Morrison is a very regional player out of the Southeast. She's been very, very good in all the tournaments that she's competing in the Southeast, but this will be the first time we're getting to see her on a national stage. So for her, it's just about fighting those lights and fighting that big stage for the first time. It wouldn't surprise me she comes out the first couple tournaments and struggles until she gets a little bit, she gets her feet wet and says, oh, okay, I can compete with these people. I can play, because I've seen her play and she's very consistent down the middle. She's not going to make a lot of big mistakes to put her back and behind in games. So I'm looking for Melissa to possibly make a big run or two this year. Then we got Christine Pappy, winningest ACL woman of all time. I don't really think I need to say much more about Christine. I think she's going to be angry this year. This past season wasn't her best. She had obviously that women's doubles win at the very beginning of the year, but at other times I think she wasn't as happy personally. I thought she played great. But if you ask her, I think she's angry this season. I think she comes back with a vengeance, and I really think she gets some wins. Allison Peters playing alongside Sam Finley. Allison is going to be a real wild card for me this year. I saw flashes this season of her where she was unbeatable, and I saw flashes where I wondered if her play was going to be consistent enough to compete at the highest level. Now, the good news is she played really well at the end of the season. Aside from that finals match kind of in women's doubles, we'll give it a little bit of pass there. She is really consistent on that slide shot. Bag selection is going to be key with her and Sam Finley. They'll obviously probably be throwing Reynolds, but I look for her to really hone in, make sure she's getting a flat bag and not get any tumbles or rolls on her bags at all. If she stay focused like that, she'll be just fine. Cheyenne Renner, who I'm talking to today, I call a superstar in this sport. Arguably the prettiest bag of any of our female ACL pros. It is flat, is consistent. She is throwing those slick bags though that came back and maybe bit her a little bit in that Woman of the Year competition. They were really fast, those widows that she was throwing. She'll be throwing with Brian Brewer this year, which we'll talk with her about. So I just want to see, can she take a little bit off of it? Can she be consistent with a slicker bag? I know when she was throwing a tacky side game changer, she was almost unbeatable. So I'm looking for her, I just don't want bag selection to get in her way because she's so good. Dawn Rogers, another veteran for us, someone that's been around for a long time, also competed like Leslie Adcock in our ACL Cancer Day. We love Dawn, especially want to see her and Mike Bechtel have another strong run this year, not only in the pro division, but in that co-ed championship at the end of the year. She's bringing positivity, and she's streaky. She can put a lot of bags in the hole. I had a chance to play against her in a blind draw, and it was always a pleasure. So looking forward to Dawn this year. Sheila Roy is very similar to Melissa Morrison, very regional player, been consistent where she's from up in New Hampshire. But now, again, exact same thing as Melissa Morrison. When she gets out there, does she struggle the first couple events, just trying to get her feet wet? Or can she come out swinging immediately? That's going to be key, is that mental focus and that acceptance that I can be here, I deserve to be here, and I can compete against anybody those first couple events. Jackie Siasone, again, going to be competing with Laurie Duel in women's doubles, but then going to be competing with Yeti Irwan in pro doubles, so a double women's doubles action there. And Jackie really impressed me in the second half of the season. Even in Galveston when we were in the pro qualifying tour, she threw incredibly well. I really think the key for Jackie is getting her hand and her wrist healthy. She's had that issue all year long. Take some time off, get that healed before that January National, February National, so she can be ready and compete at her highest level, because she competed at a very high level regardless of that hand pain and that wrist pain. So watch out for Jackie. And then finally, the comeback of Rosie Streaker. She is back and ready to roll. I'm so excited to watch Rosie play this year. Not seeing her compete this past season was so hard after she's coming off that women's doubles world title. Now she's back to kind of defend that title, if you will. I've been heard she's been killing it on ACL virtual, and now it's going to be time to see if she can kill it back in person. So that's our women's division, and that's our ACL pros that are women this year. 24 of them. I know that was a lot, but I want to give each one of them a little bit of highlight here. So thank you for tuning in. Let's get to my conversation with Cheyenne Renner and talk about how she's excited for this upcoming season. What's up, ACL Nation? I have a women's doubles world champion, Cheyenne Renner, on the show this week. Cheyenne, I say that you're able to get that monkey off your back after a couple years of being just so close. When I say women's doubles world champion, initial thoughts, what does that mean to you?
Oh, it's so awesome. I'm so excited. Playing with Sarah was great. That was the first time we had ever played together, and I felt like we had really good chemistry. We play very similar, and we have similar personalities, so I think we clicked very well.
Yeah, it's a great way to put it, click very well. You say just playing together for the first time, and you two come together. You personally had an amazing run, in that finals match, that perfect game. Sarah played well all week. What is it about playing with Sarah that made it click so quickly? Is it just, the playing style, bag selection, personality? What made it click?
I think all of that. Like I said, we have similar personalities. We have similar playing styles. We both like slicker bags. So I think that helped a lot.
Yeah. And I talked to you before the call a little bit, and you said you felt like you couldn't quite get comfortable early in the week, but it just seemed later in the week you were able to kind of put everything together. Was it just persistence of just getting used to the broadcast court, or what made the difference later in the week for you?
I think it just took me a while to get warmed up.
Yeah, it's that broadcast court was pretty slick. So looking forward to this next season. Obviously, going to be playing women's doubles again with Sarah. But also going to be playing in the pro division with kind of a surprise from people, Brian Brewer out of Arizona. So give people a little insight in how that came together and what made Brian a good selection for you moving forward this season.
Well, I was playing Woman of the Year and I was throwing the Widows. And so after the first game against Brittany, he came up and he gave me an ultra face mask. So I reached out to him to thank him for it. And then we continued talking and we both needed partners and we felt like we'd be a great team.
Yeah, and it's going to be an interesting matchup, no doubt. That's one of the ones. That's the ones that I like. For me, I'm really excited to see next year. Just because, it is two different sides of the country and coming together, and it's really cool. So, let's back up a little bit here, though. Where you are now established in the game. If we rewind a little bit all the way back to 2018. Your first ever appearance on like a main stage in a finals match playing women's singles. And I remember sitting there in the booth, just getting the name come across my desk saying, we're going to have Courtney Coy. Okay, I know Courtney, playing against Cheyenne Renner. And I was like, who is this? And you came out slinging, came up a little bit short in the finals, but do you think your 2018 self would have believed your 2020 self of where you are now as a women's doubles world champion amongst all the best players in the world?
No, I would have never guessed. But in 2018, I played with like super sticky bags, stood at the back of the board. I've made so many different changes, so that helped a lot.
Yeah, and you talked about slick bags, and so black bag selection this coming year, obviously playing with Brian, going to be going, I'm assuming, with some type of mixture of Widows and Vipers. I mean, playing outside, I guess you want as slick as possible as often as you guys play outside. So
right.
What's the bag selection look like for this season?
Mostly going to be Vipers, I think. Like you said, we play outside a lot, so it's usually very sticky, so need a slick bag.
Yeah, and fight through that humidity. Although, I can't wait to see how this season shapes out. So, as a women's doubles world champion, I mean, that's a huge check mark, right? I mean, that's an accomplishment, right? And so, is there anything that's on your mind going into this next season as something that you certainly want to be? That's certainly on your bucket list or on your checkbox or something that you definitely want to accomplish this year, knowing that you already have that world championship under your belt?
I know me and Sarah want to try to keep the championship title. I'm excited to play with Brian. I hope we do really well. So that's another goal. And singles, of course, I always want to do really good in that too.
Yeah, singles, you were that first female to get on a singles broadcast way back at the Rock Hill Pro Qualifier, playing against, unfortunately, Matthew Morton, who was a flamethrower that day, but definitely set a trend for our females. And so hopefully, whether it be a national or one of those shootout events, we get to see you up there again. Women's doubles world champion, ACL Pro Cheyenne Renner. Cheyenne, thank you so much for taking the time this week. I really appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
When Cheyenne first came into the league, she was just a youngin' competing against Courtney Coy in her first ever World Women's Singles Championship way back a few years ago in 2018. And hey, now she is a women's doubles world champion herself. And I can't wait to see how she continues to grow as a player, not only in the women's division, but in our pro division as well. Thank you, Cheyenne, for your time. If you want to register for that first ACL Open of the year, that's October 23rd and 25th, registration is open to the general public at app.iplayacl.com. Make sure you got money in your digital wallet. That is the new way players will register for events. You'll immediately load money into your digital wallet and pay for registration that way. That's all the time that we got this week for the American Cornhole League. This has been your host, Trey Ryder. We'll see you guys next week.